Well, I've just concluded the 4 o'clock turn, and the British are taking it rather badly. Now, General Moore has used the command for one particular brigade to pull this one back away from the French. So he's going to try to retreat along the coast, where at least he'll have some coverage from the British ships of the line out there. However, that's kind of left this brigade here, and then what's left of this brigade here, to try to fend for themselves. Maybe we'll have a chance to get them moving along towards Corunna along the coastal route, but right now they're in pretty bad shape. They're surrounded by a French division here and elements of a French division here, basically going to work on destroying them as best they can. Now the French are getting a little stretched. They've got those 2 divisions there. They have another division that is making a dash along the road towards Corunna. And we have this last element. This is a part of the 1st British Division that's trying to make its way to Corunna. Now, my understanding is they can't engage in combat unless it's sort of defensive. So the French are trying to get these cavalry here, these dragoons along there to maybe block the way. The British have to then go around and take sort of a long, circuitous route past the French there at Santa Lucia, and then try to make their way into the port and board those transports. So the French are trying to do what they can to make the route longer, slow down the British, maybe have a chance to engage them with their cavalry and with their infantry. If they can destroy a few of these battalions that are part of what's left of the 1st Division, they stand a good chance of preventing the British from getting a victory from evacuating their troops. Okay, we're at the end of the 4:20 turn. The British got the first chit pull, and so they were able to move this element of these elements of the 1st Division. The French subsequently moved some of their light cavalry, which got initiative, over there to kind of block them, but the other Dragoon Division did not get initiative, so it's kind of plugging up the road there, and the French are trying to move around it to try to catch up with the British. The British are ahead of them. It's going to be hard for the French to catch them, but I suspect there might be a bottleneck here as the troops try to get into Corunna and onto those ships. So there's a chance we might be able to do some damage to them and maybe catch a few before they're able to escape. But it's going to be hard for the French at this point. Over here on this side of the battlefield, French had a successful assault there against Leith's brigade, what's left of it, and that caused a couple of cascading disorders. And then, of course, General Moore has gotten these guys on the road. They're going to follow this circuitous path along the coast, trying to get to Corunna. And at this point, the French corps is rather stretched. There's Marshal Soult, and he's trying to keep these 2 divisions in command and keep that division in command. And so I think starting next turn, he's going to have to move to chase after the British, and maybe leave one division here to kind of mop up or tie up what's left of this British division. Well, at the conclusion of the 4:20 turn, the French have surrounded this last brigade and have basically been whittling away at it, skirmishing it. So we'll see what happens, but pretty much they're dead. The Army Commander Moore is moving and trying to get this brigade off to safety. The British did get the first draw, so they were able to kind of run around, and they're trying to make a long route here. But the French light cavalry keep getting activations, and so therefore they're able to kind of interpose themselves and make the British take a longer route. This Dragoon Division did get a activation, and so they were able to move forward. And of course then we've got more of the Corps and these divisions coming down the road. So we're just going to keep the pressure up on the British for as long as we can. And of course we're going to start to suffer some more from these different ships offshore doing their bombardment. But we're going to see if we can't prevent the British from getting everybody on board. It's the conclusion of the 5 o'clock turn, and this group of British that had been over here, what was left of the 2nd Division, they got shot up. We had a couple of bad rolls. There was some cascading disorders that turned into routes, and so they are kind of at least out of this fire zone, but now they are, maybe they'll have a chance to make a run for it. Whether they're routed or not, we'll see. Out here across the central part of the map, we've got these 2 French divisions moving forward, trying to see if they can't catch the British before they make it into the walls of Corunna. We're starting to get one division ready to start to load itself up onto some of the ships. So we'll see how that goes. But there's only about 2, maybe 6, 7 turns left. So I don't know if the British are going to be able to get everybody on board the ships. Now, the only thing that's of very particular interest is for the French, these warships are doing a lot of damage to the French. So they might not want to be too brave, because there's a good chance every time, for example, the HMS Victory fires, they're usually firing at anywhere from 4 to 10 to 1 odds. 4 to 1 odds or 10 to 1 odds, depending on who their target is. So it's just nasty business. They're guaranteed to blow away quite a few increments. So the French don't want to get too bold. Well, we've concluded the 5:20 turn. The British did recover some of their battalions, but there's no way they're going to make it back to Corunna in time. So they're most likely going to become prisoners of war. The general is still marching along the road, trying to extricate those guys, but I don't think he's going to be able to get them off fast enough. Maybe he can take a longboat from the beach and get on board one of the ships, but those troops are lost. The British are making a big long trip around here. We finally got some French up here. The infantry are there, going to see if they can't maybe make it to the road in time. We finally have some of our British troops on board the ship, so they're going to start moving out of port next turn. We've got to get some more transports in and start loading up some more folks. We'll see how the evacuation goes. The 5:40 turn is ended. The French did not get any of their cavalry to have any initiative. So the light cavalry just kind of sat there, which is too bad. They could have moved to prevent or slow those British units. As it is, we've got one division of the French who've kind of made it up to that point. Hopefully they'll be able to block the road, or maybe even engage those British as they try to make it into towards Corunna. These other redcoats, they're actually Swiss that are assisting the French here. The HMS Victory has been doing a grand job bombarding this poor little cavalry unit that's sitting here that can't seem to get initiative. Has taken 5 hits so far out of 8, so there's not going to be much left of them at this rate to even lead a charge. We've got some artillery moving into Santa Lucia. Maybe we'll unlimber it and use it on the British ships out there. Meanwhile, we do have some brigades have managed to get on board, and the transports are making their way off to hopefully safety. But we still have a lot left to do, and there's not a lot of time for the British to do it. So it's coming down to a race against the clock. All right, we leaped forward a few turns, and it's the end of the 6:40 turn, and we're pulling the plug on the game. This poor group of English troops are more or less stuck there, and they're not going to make it off. Here we had some more English troops, including General John Moore, who is also couldn't make it to Corunna in time. There's only 2 turns left, and there's no way that they can get there. We did get most of the British troops off. We should be able to get those last 2 brigades out of there, out of Corunna, before the time limit. But this element of these brigades from the 1st Division, there's no way that they're going to be able to make it there in time. A couple of things of note. Division General Mermet was shot by one of the brigades of the, or I should say battalions of the British Guard, of course, before it got blown to pieces, but that did kill him. The ADC for the Corps is going over to take over that. The other thing of interest is we did have 1 hit on one of the ships of the line from this group of artillery that's set up here along the coast, and under the capable leadership of General Lobardet. So that was kind of interesting. We were really hoping to get a ship to blow up, but that didn't happen. These are some of the battalions that did make it off out of the transport area, and so we'll see, add everything up and see if there was a victory or not. So the British were able to evacuate 11 battalions, and that represented about 35% of their 31 battalions they had at the time evacuation was declared. And that is not enough for them to get a victory or a draw. In fact, it is a French victory. And so therefore, the loss of General Hope really put a crimp in things. It prevented the British from having a ability to fight with any effectiveness, and left all these units then more or less out of command or unable to get there. And I played the French rather aggressively to try to cut them off. The French did take a lot of casualties as a result of the shore bombardment, but in the end they were able to prevent this group of British making it to Corunna in time to be evacuated. If a few more of them had made it and gotten on board the boats, then it would have been a draw. But as it is, this was a victory for the French. If you enjoy these videos, click the like and subscribe button, and to get the most up-to-date notice of a new video, hit the bell button.